The Green Industrial Complex: Power, Panic, and Profits. The Green Industrial Complex: a web of deception and power. They say environmental groups are the little guys fighting the good fight. But here's the shocking truth: they've become the giants, flush with cash and wielding immense influence. Worse still, they're using this power to deceive the public. Remember those heartbreaking stories about polar bears vanishing and bees dying off? Turns out, it's all a ploy to tug at your heartstrings and open your wallet. Hysteria equals donations, reveals science writer John Entine. These organizations thrive on the money pouring in from well-meaning folks who believe they are making a difference. It's a vicious cycle that's turned Big E into a billion-dollar industry. But here's where it gets truly controversial: not only do they lie for profit, but they actively block progress. They've shut down thousands of miles of fossil fuel pipelines and dozens of power plants. And in a bizarre twist, they even oppose solar and wind farms. It's a shame, laments Travis Fisher of the Cato Institute. Imagine how much more prosperous America could be without these roadblocks. In our eye-opening video, we expose more of Big E's underhanded tactics. After over 4 decades of reporting, one thing has become clear: the key to a thriving society lies in limited government and personal freedom. But what do you think? Are environmental groups really the heroes they claim to be, or are they part of the problem? Let us know in the comments below. John Stossel, a libertarian journalist, created Stossel TV to educate young people about the power of liberty and free markets. Before Stossel TV, he hosted shows on Fox Business and ABC's 2020s. His economic programs have been transformed into teaching kits by the non-profit organization Stossel in the Classroom, reaching over 12 million students in American public schools each year. Stossel's impressive career has earned him 19 Emmy Awards, 5 National Press Club Awards for Consumer Reporting, the George Polk Award for Outstanding Local Reporting, and the George Foster Peabody Award. To get the latest videos from Stossel TV delivered straight to your inbox, sign up at https://johnstossale.activehosted.com/f/1. Unmasking Big Green: the truth about environmental groups and their tactics. Imagine a world where environmental groups, instead of saving the planet, are more interested in lining their pockets. It's a sobering thought, isn't it? In 2020, these organizations collected a staggering $8 billion in donations. That's right, $8 billion. According to physicist Mark Mills, the environmental industrial complex is more focused on PR and lobbying than real environmental action. Insufficient attention is paid to following the money, he warns. And he's right. Their websites scream donate at every turn, as if they are on the brink of bankruptcy. But the truth is, they are thriving. They are getting richer by peddling fear and deceit. They warn us that polar bears face extinction and bees are dying off, but the facts tell a different story. Polar bear and bee populations are actually increasing. These scare tactics drive donations, as science writer John Entine explains. They believe it, he says, but they also recognize that hysteria generates donations. The oxygen for these organizations is money donated by people who think they're doing good. But where does your money go? To lavish headquarters, galas with celebrities, and endless lawsuits. The Natural Resources Defense Council and Sierra Club spend most of their donations on legal fees, filing a new lawsuit every 10 days. They are not building anything, they are just stopping progress. As Travis Fisher, Director of Energy and Environmental Policy Studies at the Cato Institute, points out, they have billions of dollars to not build a thing, but just to oppose building things. These groups claim to save the bees, yet their donations end up in lawyers' pockets, preventing you from using gasoline. They brag about stopping fossil fuel pipelines and power plants, even suing to shut down nuclear plants, which are crucial for our energy future. And they don't stop there. They sue to stop solar and wind farms, claiming to protect desert tortoises, but at what cost? Today, the biggest threat to development isn't NIMBY, it's banana. Build absolutely nothing, anywhere, near anyone. This means we're left without the lifestyle we want, constantly asking ourselves, who do I have to talk to? Is the Sierra Club going to sue? I'm ashamed to admit I once believed their lies. Now, I see that these big environmental groups have been feeding us misinformation. They are not saving the planet. They are stopping progress and making lawyers richer. I invited them to explain themselves, but none would accept. It's a shame, says Fisher. When I think about what America could be, what we could be building, we could be so prosperous, so much more prosperous than we are. So, the question is, are you willing to continue supporting organizations that prioritize their wealth over the planet? Or will you demand transparency and real action? Let's start a conversation in the comments below. How environmental groups use hysteria to get rich and stop progress. The alarming truth is that some environmental groups may be more interested in amassing wealth than in genuine conservation efforts. This revelation can leave many supporters feeling betrayed and questioning the impact of their contributions. In 2020, the latest year for which comprehensive data is available, environmental organizations collectively raked in a staggering $8 billion in donations. That's right, $8 billion. To put this into perspective, physicist Mark Mills points out in a recent video, https://www.youtube.com/watch?sign for LGP 6WBHNQKPTGC &V FH0CC0TBGPS feature u2.b, that these groups often wield more financial clout in public relations and lobbying efforts than the industries they criticize. Insufficient attention is paid to following the money, Mills emphasizes, highlighting a critical oversight in the public discourse. A quick visit to the websites of these organizations reveals a primary focus on fundraising. Prominent donate buttons are strategically placed to grab immediate attention, often accompanied by urgent calls to action that might suggest the organization is on the brink of financial collapse. Yet, the reality is far from dire. These groups are flush with cash, and they continue to grow richer by capitalizing on fear and misinformation. One common tactic involves spreading exaggerated claims about imminent ecological disasters. For instance, you might have heard that polar bears are on the verge of extinction, or that bees are dying off en masse. However, these statements are largely unfounded. Both polar bear and bee populations are actually increasing, according to reliable scientific data. Science writer John Entine explains, these scares drive donations. They feel that the only way they can talk about environmental issues is to frame it with hysteria and crisis. When confronted with this, Entine acknowledges that some within these organizations genuinely believe in the urgency of their cause. However, he adds, they also recognize that creating a sense of crisis generates more donations. The lifeblood of these organizations is the money donated by well-intentioned individuals who think they are making a positive impact. So, when you donate to these organizations, you might assume your money is going toward tangible conservation efforts, such as cleaning up rivers or maintaining national parks. In reality, a significant portion of the funds often goes toward less visible activities. For example, the World Wildlife Fund uses donations to fund its luxurious 250,000 square foot headquarters, complete with a stunning 8-story, skylit atrium. Similarly, the Natural Resources Defense Council, NRDC, hosts extravagant galas featuring high-profile celebrities and fashion brands. But perhaps the most concerning aspect is the legal strategy employed by these groups. The NRDC, for instance, files a new lawsuit every 10 days, while the Center for Biological Diversity boasts over 70 active lawsuits. Their executive director proudly claims, "We do more environmental litigation than any other environmental group in the country." According to Mills, this approach means that these organizations have billions of dollars to not build anything, but just to oppose building things. Travis Fisher, Director of Energy and Environmental Policy Studies at the Cato Institute, sees a profound irony in this situation. While they claim to be saving the bees, the reality is that your donation often ends up funding a lawyer who sues someone, preventing you from using gasoline or other resources, he explains. The Sierra Club, for example, boasts about stopping thousands of miles of fossil fuel pipelines and dozens of large power plants. However, pipelines are generally considered a safer and more environmentally friendly method of transporting oil compared to trucking. Moreover, the United States needs robust power plants, including nuclear facilities, to meet its energy demands. Despite this, Friends of the Earth recently sued to shut down Diablo Canyon, California's last remaining nuclear plant. Even renewable energy projects are not immune to legal challenges. The NRDC, Sierra Club, and Defenders of Wildlife have all filed lawsuits to block the construction of solar and wind farms, citing concerns about wildlife habitats. One notable case is the Calico Solar Project in California, which was opposed on the grounds that it would harm the desert tortoise population. This trend marks a shift from the traditional NIMBY, not in my backyard, attitude to a more extreme banana, build absolutely nothing, anywhere, near anyone, stance. As Fisher puts it, what this means is that we don't get the lifestyle we want. If you wanted to build a new house, how many permits would you need to obtain? Who would you have to negotiate with? Would the Sierra Club sue? Reflecting on his own past, the author admits to once being duped by the misleading narratives of these environmental groups. He recalls how WCBS TV promoted his environmental reporting with headlines like, "If you wore a gas mask, you might be better off." Now, he realizes that these large environmental organizations have been feeding him lies. Today, they primarily hinder progress and enrich lawyers rather than contributing to meaningful environmental solutions. The author attempted to invite representatives from these major environmental groups to his studio to address these concerns, but none agreed to participate. Fisher laments, "It's a shame. When I think about what America could be, the potential for prosperity and innovation, it's clear that we are being held back by these misguided efforts." Do you think these environmental groups are truly focused on conservation, or are they more concerned with their own financial gain? Share your thoughts in the comments below.